Hello, welcome to the first episode of the Zeta Kappa Cast. My name is Tai Tuan. I am one of the hosts for this podcast. My other host, my co-host, is Zachary Griffin. Zach Wade. Hello. We are joined today by the executive council for this year of the Zeta Kappa chapter at Texas A&M University Commerce. Welcome, guys. We're so excited to have you. We're going to start with some introductions. So if we could start with Karina, just go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and your like if this is your first or second year in this office or whatever you want to talk about.
Hello, my name is Karina Crawford. This is my third year in the chapter, and it's my first year as president.
Fantastic. Karina, what instrument do you play again?
I play flute.
Awesome. Awesome. Next would be our vice president of membership. Jesse, go ahead.
What's up, y'all? I'm Jesse. This is my third year in the chapter as well. This is my first year in this position. I play tuba and I'm a music education major.
Awesome. Next would be our VPS vice president of service, Andrew Gresky.
How's it going, everyone? I'm Andrew. This is my third year as well. I play trumpet, and that's about it.
Next, Noah Bonicelli. Go ahead and introduce yourself for me.
Hi, I'm Noah Bonicelli. I'm the sergeant at arms. It's my fourth year in the chapter, and I play bass.
Nice. Next would be Thomas Hunter.
Hi, like Tai2 said, my name is Thomas Hunter. I study saxophone. I am the treasurer of the Zeta Kappa chapter. This is my fourth year in the chapter as well.
Great. And then last but certainly not least, our secretary.
Hello, everyone. I'm Christian. This is my first year, and I'm the secretary, and I play the trombone.
Fantastic. All right. The first question I always want to ask, even before you guys even ran for the position, but why each position that you guys are in? Why did you run for that? What drew you to it? Whoever wants to start first.
I guess I'll start. Ever since I started at Texas A&M University Commerce in the band program, I saw so many people just so eager to help out and try to get things going. And I was one of those kids in high school, and it turns out those people were part of Zeta Kappa. And it just seemed right that I continue my service orientation in Zeta Kappa in college as well.
All right. So the reason I wanted to join the executive council is because, at the formal dinner we had, I expressed my interest in just seeing how things worked, and I don't feel like as a first year member, I didn't really feel very qualified to do a lot of the other positions, but I knew that my clerical skills, when it came to doing the minutes, were about where they need to be. So I just want to gain experience. I want to be able to serve at a higher capacity in the future, and I felt like this position would allow me to do that and gain that experience.
Awesome. And Christian, I believe that you are the only one from the most recent MC class that's on exec council, correct?
That's right.
Awesome. That's awesome. Thomas, what about you? What drew you to your position?
So, what drew me to my position was when I got to commerce, I was really about being a part of something that was bigger than myself. And Kappa Kappa Psi, and specifically Zeta Kappa, has really embodied that belief. And being able to take it another step up is what drew me to want to be a part of the executive council. And luckily, with the love of my brothers, elected to be a part of this executive council.
Jesse, what about you?
What drew me to BPM, honestly, was just me having the ability to go up there and teach a group of individuals something I'm passionate in this case, Kappa Kappa Psi. I mean, throughout my own process, I was so engaged on just everything uh the BPM just taught me, and just how brotherhood matters in the chapter, and all the details of Kappa Kappa Psi. I also love interacting with people, seeing them grow. So the process that's gonna come in next semester, I am excited to see the MCs just grow through this process.
Noah?
The reason I ran for this is I didn't see myself being as successful in the other positions. I feel like I wouldn't have fit the bill for those as well as everyone else. But I feel like I fit the bill for this one really well. I take attendance. That's all I need to do.
That's the meme with Sergeant at Arms. And last but certainly not least, Karina, what drew you to the position of president?
Well, when I was coming into Kappa Kappa Psi, there were just a lot of great leaders already in the organization that I looked up to. When I was in high school, it was just part of my nature to be involved with different service projects and leadership. So I was just drawn to this position because I felt like I could help the best in that way, but I was going to do anything I could to help the chapter in general as a whole. But last year we had a great president, Natalie, who I really looked up to and is also one of my friends. And she just inspired me to take the step and run for office myself. So,
Awesome. No, I mean, yeah, Noah. Didn't you used to live with the old Sergeant at Arms, correct?
Yeah, I lived with Stone.
How was that? How did you living with him affect you wanting to run for that position?
I think him and I are really similar in a lot of ways. It's like he can do it, I can do it. So I was like, might as well try it out.
I think we can stay in the same order, but how have previous officers influenced how you see the position you're in now and how you act in that office? We'll start with Andrew and go in the same order.
Well, I was fortunate enough to see Jose and Harley be in the position that I am in, and just from learning how efficient they made our program like able to function, and how dedicated they were outside of chapter and outside of classes to be able to do this just really inspired me. It's just very it just feels necessary to have this kind of passion.
And Andrew is the vice president of service. And for all you alumni listening, that position wasn't really a thing until, what is it, 3 years ago now? 4 years ago? Three. I think it would be 3 years ago now. And basically, the mindset of the chapter back then was that, everybody has a hand in service. Uh, we need that position is so important in how we function as a music department, especially within the chapter. Um, that it was very, very necessary to have a dedicated person in that position for the whole year. So Andrew's doing a great job. Awesome that that's a thing now.
So, Christian Chavez, how have previous officers influenced how you see the position? I guess you've only seen one officer class, but
Yeah, well, I've only seen one other secretary, and to be honest, he wasn't that good.
ouch.
No, I'm only playing. Uh, my like the general perception of oftentimes I feel of secretary positions is just one that exists, and whenever I saw you Zach doing it was something else. You took it very seriously. If everything that you did, it was like with class and dignified, and it just made me realize like being secretary isn't just taking notes. It's what we do is important, and um it just made me take this more seriously, take this position more seriously, and see it as a privilege.
Why, thank you for the kind words. Thomas, you are currently treasurer. How has previous officers affected you?
So I've been privileged to see three great treasurers in front of me in Jenica and Pablo, and lastly Gladys. All of them, albeit all have different personalities, I think for the most part, a lot of us can agree that um, at some point, I think every brother feels comfortable communicating with them, and not only just openly about whatever, but also with something like treasurer being responsible for money, something that's pretty touchy, even for myself. Um, it's kind of helped me find different ways to approach and effectively communicate with other people, especially with something touchy. And it also gives me a sense of that the chapter really trusts me with something as important as running our financial status and maintaining that to the highest degree.
Jesse, you are vice president of membership, which is no doubt a very big position, especially for shaping the chapter and the chapter's membership. You have obviously interacted with past vice presidents of membership in very close aspects, considering that you came through the chapter in the Beta Sigma class. How has seeing other vice presidents of membership affect how you view the position now?
I think the job description, like you said, I'm in charge of shaping the chapter, bringing in the future of the chapter. I think when I saw the other two vice president of membership, Scott Davis and Joshua Hawkins, I think they just brought a lot of heart to that position, and that's one thing that like I would think I bring into this position, just a lot of heart and hard work, just to ensure the future of the chapter is going to be great. And I mean, I'd imagine so far the future has been great to them at least.
I can't wait to see what membership has planned for the rest of the semester.
No, you.
Noah, we touched on this just a little bit ago, but you've lived with a previous sergeant of arms, and then you've also seen two different ones. And no doubt there's all been different takes on the position. Has that influenced your take on the position?
Yeah, I think I'd try to be a mixture of all three of them. I think Felipe and Stone were more low key in the ritual aspect, where Josh Ward was very influential and was like telling everyone this is how it should go and helping everyone know what is going on, setting up rituals and stuff like that. But behind the scenes, attendance taking is something I just do on my computer now, and everyone else, you just see them walking around with their phone at interest events taking attendance. So I try to mold all three of them into one, but obviously we're not going to be having rituals in person, so I don't know how we're going to do that. We'll learn.
No doubt that will be a challenge moving forward. Karina Crawford is our president and no doubt the leader of our chapter. How has the past two presidents influenced you?
Well, our past two presidents before me were Josh Berry and Natalie Ruan. I'll say when I first was entering the chapter and going through the process of becoming a member, I was hardcore clueless. um, I do remember Josh Berry just constantly being there for me as an individual, which really speaks volumes because if you think about it, at that time, there was probably like over 50 people in our chapter, um, or at least, you know, members plus potential members at that time. And any little thing I had, he'd always be willing to talk to me. And looking back on it, it's like, wow, he really did that for me when there were so many people that probably did the same thing. And he never broke a sweat about it. He was always there. And I'd say Natalie and Josh are very different people, but they both have great values to bring. Natalie was the same way, um, especially since I wasn't a member when Josh was there. Um, I didn't get to see as much as how chapter was ran, but when Natalie was there, I did get to see how she handled chapter business and just general chapter related items. And especially now that I'm going through a lot of the things she went through, I'm able to reach out to her about literally anything. I actually just texted her a couple minutes ago asking about something we're doing this upcoming weekend. She's like, "Yeah, sure, no problem. I can help you with whatever you need." And that's really the type of person that I try to be. I just want to be there the way they were there for me.
How has Mr. Clements helped you throughout all of this process? And this kind of leads into my next question, which is, usually in the spring we would get elections would happen sometime early/mid-April, so we know who the exec is for next year, and you would get like a little less than a month to do like transitions with the current officers, and especially with you six, all six of you are new to the exec council. So let's start with Karina. But how has COVID and how has Mr. Clements helped you through all of this transition?
Well, in the very beginning, when I was first elected, that was kind of like the start of the pandemic. Not the start of the pandemic, but at that point, we were starting to realize how severe it was, and we were learning more and more every day. And so, honestly, neither myself or Mr. Clements really knew what was going to come. But he constantly went out of his way to meet with me and our TBS president, Laura, every single week over the summer and answered literally any question that we had. And to this day, we still meet every week. Um, now that now that we're having in-person classes, it's a little bit easier to reach out to him because I can stop by his office at any point. There's never a time when he's not willing to talk to me about something, and that helps more than you know, just being flexible. So I definitely couldn't have done it without him or previous presidents or anyone on exec. It's teamwork.
Jesse, how has this pandemic and you not really getting a chance to normally speak to the previous class, because usually every year we do sort of a review with the last MC class prior to the school year starting. How has that affected your process, your position?
I think it's a lot of like, okay, what did I go through? What interest events did I attended that were successful that I can apply into this position? I think COVID just left a huge dent in some ideas since a lot of our interest events and a lot of our processes are in person. We never had to worry about going online. Um, but I think so far everything has been going well, smoothly. Um, I'm just hoping that like that just the ball just keeps rolling. So yeah.
Andrew, obviously, with social distancing and all the rules that we have implemented in Kappa Kappa Psi right now, your position is kind of hard.
Yeah.
It's in a weird place right now. It's kind of hard for us to serve when we're not really allowed to. So, talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, I think in this position, you kind of have to go at everything with positivity, because even though we can't really serve as we normally do, we kind of have to be there for each other and do the best that we can, to get through the year. So we're
It's great to hear, Christian. Andrew, I'm sorry. Christian, with you being secretary, has your position changed much due to COVID, or is it relatively similar?
In terms of secretary position, I feel it's relatively similar. If anything, I feel like I like some of the options are like I have more options now. Like whenever I have questions about the minutes, instead of interrupting the meeting, I could just privately message my brother about what they said. Or if I don't catch anything, like I could always like it's become a lot easier to like have clarifications in real time without interrupting the meetings. So I feel like I'm in a unique position where my like opportunities have grown, and as my like position as the publications committee chair, like it's given us the opportunity to expand and to like have the opportunity of this podcast we're doing now.
COVID definitely gave us a chance to reevaluate what we were doing as publications committee and think outside the box. And I think it was great that publications came up with doing the podcast. Thomas, I'd like to throw the same question to you. Has things changed, or are they relatively similar, even with COVID going about?
There's been plenty of change for sure. Right now we're kind of all uncertain as to how things are going, and I think one thing that's kind of keeping me looking forward to like continuing to strive for greater things in this position is innovation. Um, Albeit there are a lot of restrictions now, but it doesn't mean that one day I could just have an idea, or somebody in the chapter can have an idea. And I think this is a great time for us to be able to collaborate with the chapter more. I think since we're all uncertain of something, although we are exec, a lot of us can reach out, and other just regular members of the chapter can maybe feel like they have more of a voice too with all the uncertainty that's been going about.
Noah, I know that rituals are definitely a big part of your position and the preparation of rituals Now with social distancing rules in place, especially for nationals, do you have any ideas on how we might go about with rituals coming up?
At this point, um, not really entirely sure if we're gonna do virtual or if we're gonna do in-person ones. In-person rituals would definitely be interesting because we have such a large chapter. I don't know if we would have a space large enough to accommodate us. Um, but we'll see and we'll learn. And the other parts is like taking attendance is like really easy now because I can just go on the Zoom list and see everyone just typing whoever's name. I don't need to walk around mindlessly at a interest event like in the past. Hopefully, I can find people. But yeah, the rituals are definitely going to be a learning experience, to say the least.
Gotta love finding those silver linings. I want to ask the group as a whole, how has some of your previous experiences in life influenced how you act now in this leadership position? For example, I went to high school with Thomas, and Thomas, I know that you were a high school drum major. So how has that influenced your leadership ability? And I know that being a drum major gives you a lot of opportunities, basically being in a laboratory with leadership skills. So how has that affected how you act as a leader in your office now?
I think a lot of it now, I had a great time being a drum major and it was a wonderful opportunity for sure. Now I just kind of look at it as like, it was an opportunity for me to step up and see what leadership skills I can use effectively and what some of my flaws are and that I can work with. Um, Ultimately, the same thing that's been driving me 4 years ago when I was in high school with hair, and now 4 years into college without hair, is to just continue to be better each and every day. I think, yeah, we want to be great leaders, but with being great leaders, we have to be great people first. So being the best person that I can be each and every day definitely gives me inspiration to be a better leader as well.
So Karina, I know that you've also had some similar experiences. How has the lessons you've learned previously in life come into play right now?
I think one of the biggest things that I learned from being a high school drum major was just being patient. Um, I was not a patient person in high school, and I still struggle with patience sometimes. When everyone asks you the question in your leadership audition, oh, what's your biggest weakness? Mine's always patience. I can always do better with my patience. I think everyone can, especially now during this time. You really don't know what people are going through. Um, in general, you can never read someone's mind. Um, so treating people with kindness is always the priority for me. And I think that that's probably what I've learned throughout my years of different leadership positions and even being fundraising chair last year. Granted, my position wasn't as pressing when it came to interactions with individual brothers, but just in general, being understanding of other people's situations.
So Jesse, have you had any past experience that contributes to how you view your position now and how you act in it?
I think in general, just me going through, I guess, high school and just learning about myself and just knowing how much I value others and how much I really care about others just really benefited me going into not only this position but the chapter. It's honestly just I always just provide a good experience for everyone, no matter what, no matter who I meet, no matter uh, who they are. It's just I make it a goal to always just try to provide everyone with the best experience of me as possible. And maybe we might crack a few jokes or two.
Andrew, I'd like to pass the same question over to you. Do you have any life motto or lessons that are helping you in this position?
Well, like I said earlier, a lot of my high school experience was dealing with like setting up chairs and stands, and unfortunately, we can't do that right now. But I think it's just that intrinsic motivation to help out an organization or an activity that you love to participate in really like drives me. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Christian, you were the youngest officer, but I have no doubt that you were just filled with experience also. So can you tell us about that?
So, one thing that I've learned, I was in a similar position whenever I was in high school, my freshman year. I was thrown into, funnily enough, the exec council for FFA because I was in that part of Texas. So,
Yeehaw, go Texas.
they threw me in because I had speaking abilities, and it taught me to be humble there. You know, I didn't know exactly what was happening, but it taught me to rely on the experience of the people around me and the skills of the people around me. Being in the executive council is just a name, it's just a title. It doesn't mean that we're somehow magically more qualified to do things. So it taught me to rely on the people around me because this is something we're here to serve the chapter. We're here to serve the bands, and it just taught me humility. Um, I'm lucky to serve on an exec council that has a lot of experience, and in a committee that has a lot of experience as well. So it's taught me to rely on the people around me.
I think we're very lucky that band happens to teach all these wonderful life lessons that we get out of one activity. I think band teaches so much. Noah, can you expand on how just being in band has allowed you to move forward with this position?
Yeah, I think being in band is almost a necessity at some point. Maybe not being in band specifically, but the life lessons and values that, especially in Texas, the band music education uh, instills in people down here is really great. And it, whatever facet you go on to in life, whether it be, you know, being a professional and, you know, cooking or a doctor, whatever, you want to be held to the highest standard. And I feel like over the years, I've learned how to hold myself to a higher standard and hold others to the same standard.
Thomas, you have something to expand on that?
Yeah, definitely. Being in band for me has been a really good experience. Growing up, I that I didn't have friends, but I definitely had questionable friends, and I think being in band definitely helped me stay away from a lot of really questionable things that I could have encountered, and just meeting the right kind of people, and also finding something that we all at least semi enjoy.
I think the weirdest thing about band is just like it revolves about an activity of me putting air through like a metal object, and it taught me how to be a good person.
So the last question that we have for you guys is, what can the people listening to this podcast, whether it's alumni, current members, which I hope the current members watch this, awesome, random brothers and sisters throughout the country, whoever listens to this, what can they look forward to and expect from the Zeta Kappa chapter? And we can start with Christian.
Um, one thing I would like to do is for the chapter specifically is I'd like to upgrade the current templates I've been using for agenda and minutes and move them away from the kind of Spartan format we're looking at and kind of apply some of the formatting that nationals and just add some of that blue and gold.
Blue and gold, gold lions for sure. What about yourself, Noah?
Well, what I had planned was is I wanted our chapter to be more involved in rituals and be more well versed in how they're set up and everything. But that's kind of gotten scrapped with COVID. So we will learn as we go, for sure.
I really hope rituals are still going to be a thing. Like the fact that the most recent MC class still hasn't been able to have gone through third degree is really upsetting to me, just because it's such a unique experience that obviously we're not going to dive into details about what happens in, because we have a
What
person that hasn't even been through it in this podcast. But
What's AEA?
what does AEA mean? Christian does not
Wait,
know
did
the
I go
answer
through
to
it,
yet.
Ty?
Did you? I don't know, Jesse. You're
Always
frozen,
eat.
so I don't know if you would.
Are you kidding me?
Thomas, what can people look forward to from the Zeta Kappa chapter in your position?
So, although there has been a lot of change in the world the last, what has it been, 7 months now? Wow. Um, although there is a lot of change, one thing I would like to let people know that at the very least, Kappa Kappa Psi, and specifically for us, Zeta Kappa and the brothers in it, do have something consistent that we're going to still continue to strive for the highest consistently, just through different means.
Try for the highest, our motto. Mr. Andrew Gresky.
Yeah, in this time of uncertainty, it's really hard to remember why we serve, but I think it's important for brothers in Zeta Kappa and all around the nation who happen to listen to this. Remember why you joined this organization, and remember the people that influenced you to be a part of this, because we're all here to be part of something bigger than ourselves. And while we can't serve right now, I think we should just think back on that.
So Jesse, with you being vice president of membership, when potential membership candidates and actual membership candidates come back and watch this podcast, what do you want to say to them? What do you want them to know about the chapter, especially during these uncertain times?
Well, I would say first of all, good luck because you're gonna be hearing a lot of my voice. um, and two is just despite the time of us just being separate all the time, it's just we have to remember that we are a united front. Like our organization is surrounded around brotherhood, service to band. Um, and just remember, just be there for each other. I think honestly, that's the biggest thing that we need to remember. That no matter how distant we have to be, and like how much we're not going to see each other in person, is just remember we have to rely on each other. Because honestly, throughout this time, I think that's what we need. So, yeah.
Farina, for the members of our chapter listening, for the other chapters listening, for the alumni listening, and for the outsiders listening, what do you want to say to them?
Um, First of all, thank you for watching this podcast. And second of all, I just want to say that I think even though everything is so uncertain right now, our chapter is working really hard to, you know, come up with creative ideas to do things the way we normally would, just virtually. Some cool things to expect is our one of our brothers, who's the music chair, is writing or has already written a song called "Song for Peace," and just with everything going on in the world right now, he wanted to write a piece for our chapter to play and present to the world to show, hey, things might not be the best that they could possibly be right now, but at least we can bond together through music. So that's something that's pretty cool that we can look forward to. And also, our Joint Relations Committee is also looking for some cool ways to not only engage our alumni, but also engage TBS alumni. So hopefully, you can see some cool events, virtual events in the future from both chapters.
I can't wait to hear about all the great things coming out of Zeta Kappa. I'd like to thank everyone for listening to the first episode of the Zeta Kappa Cast. I want to thank our sponsor, Mr. Philip Clements, for his constant support, and I want to thank all of the music building for his constant support. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye!
Bye bye.